Victoria from schoolguide.co.uk, and today I'm here with Naomi Sani. Naomi is a very experienced maths teacher. She's also lecturer at the University of Plymouth, where she teaches qualified teachers to teach maths. I first came across Naomi because I bought her book, How to Do Maths, So Your Children Can Too. I find this one of the most useful tools that I have on the kitchen table most days after school. My oldest son is 11, and he's already got to a point where he's gone beyond me in terms of the maths that he's learning, but also the way that maths is taught has changed, both in terms of methodology, but also the language. So I found that when I was talking to Caleb, my son, we weren't sort of communicating about the same bit of maths, even though it was. Yeah. So I found that book very, very useful. And actually one of my main takeaways from the book, apart from the fantastic maths help, is the way, Naomi, that you feel that as parents and really as a nation, we have a lot of negativity around the concept of maths and learning maths, and we need to get over it, basically.
Yeah, well, I think so. I think maths is an interesting one, isn't it? Because maths, the word maths can evoke quite a lot of emotion for a lot of people. Often that emotion is wrapped up with anxiety. Anxiety from the children, from the pupils, where they're feeling that perhaps they're not getting it, or they're not getting it quick enough. And we're in a time and age and in society now where there's a lot of emphasis put on the importance of maths.
Yeah.
And pupils know that now. Pupils know that maths is very important, perhaps more so than a generation or two ago.
Okay.
And so there's anxiety from pupils, but there's also anxiety from parents on behalf of their children, because they know how important it is to get this ticket, this GCSE, rightly or wrongly, and I think we should have a debate around the significance of it, but as we stand at the minute, it's very important for pupils to pass their maths GCSE, so it can create an awful lot of anxiety. And parents often have negative feelings about maths themselves from their own school experience. They perhaps weren't taught particularly well.
Okay.
But one of the simplest things parents can do to benefit their children, the absolute simplest thing, is not to say to their children that they were bad at maths or that they didn't like maths. It has a massive effect on children, particularly girls. Particularly, we now know that if mums say to daughters that they weren't good at maths or they didn't like maths, it has an immediate effect on girls' performance. Their maths achievement will go down the very term after they hear their mothers say they were no good at maths.
Wow, okay.
So it's hugely important not to do that, and actually quite simple. You don't have to pretend that you love it or that you're fantastically brilliant at it. You just have to sort of be positive about it and perhaps say, well, yeah, I'd like to find out more, I'd like to learn more, and just give off those kind of positive messages.
Okay. One of the most damaging
things it does is it actually deflates the aspirational expectations of the kids, because what it's saying is, when you say to a child, oh, I'm not good at maths, it's giving the message, it doesn't matter that you're not good at maths as well. So it's actually saying to the child, I don't think you can do that. I don't think you are going to be good enough. Don't worry if you're not good enough. So it's puncturing that aspirational balloon, if you like. So it does so much damage when parents say we're not good at maths.
I guess at the core of that is this sense of maths is difficult.
Yes.
And one of my journeys recently, and actually through your book, has been, you know, I'm an English graduate through and through. You know, I adored all the humanities subjects at school. I went to university to read English. You know, I became a journalist, I write, I do words. And in the last couple of years, since I've been doing maths with my children, I found that actually I get quite a kick out of it. Because if you just take a bit of time to understand what you're doing, you get this amazing thing, and you can be right. It's not like, oh, maybe you're right in a kind of subjective kind of, that's quite a nice essay, well, let's give you a B. It's kind of you're right or you're wrong. And I think there is a lot of enjoyment that can come from learning more as parents about maths.
Yes, and I think this is well documented now that I think that is part of maths. It can be right or wrong. I think there's another part of maths where it's problem solving. You go endlessly and you can't, sometimes you don't get to the answer. You're just trying to find out. But yes, with a lot of the maths, adults particularly like maybe the Sudoku puzzles or whatever, that right or wrong, that finding the solution. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff now documented about that adults, yes, when they revisit maths, actually they enjoy it. Right. And they're saying, well, what went wrong at school? Why was it so boring? Why was it so dull? Okay. And that takes us back to maths teaching and how we want our children to be taught in the classroom. Okay. Because unfortunately there is an awful lot of poor maths teaching that goes on in the classroom. Yeah. A lot of the poor teaching is along the lines of procedural type teaching, where you're telling the kids there's lots of rules, lots of things to learn, and it's quite dull and quite boring, and it's kind of clerical and just repetitive. That's not what maths teaching should be about. Maths teaching should be about finding a really interesting problem. What's a really interesting problem that's worth solving, that's worth thinking about, that's worth unpicking, having a go at? If you can find, I think the best thing a teacher can do is find a really interesting problem and then let the kids try and solve it and get the kids to ask questions about it. We need children to think deeply. We need them to question and ask, not just listen and do. Okay. It needs to be much more proactive, deep learning experience. That's where the joy comes into learning maths. That's where the creativity comes in. Okay. These are the kind of, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't. You can be a traditional type of teacher, chalk and talk, or it doesn't matter how you teach. You just need to get the kids to think deeply and reason about their maths. Reasoning is the key. Okay. And as parents, we can start that journey very early. I mean, I know it's almost sort of a bit of a cliche, you know, we were sitting there with our tea on a Sunday afternoon and we've got the cake and let's split it up and this is a half and this is a quarter. But tell me a little bit about, I mean, what you've done with your own children in terms of just exploring and enjoying and finding a thrill in maths from an early age. Yeah, it can seem a bit forced if we're saying, well, let's cut the cake into so many. No, I'm not saying we don't do it, but I'm just saying, whatever we do at home, whatever we do should feel pressure-free. Yeah, and I do this. I do with toast. I say, do you want it in halves or do you want it with quarters? When my children are very young, I do that because I think let's use this language. Yeah, okay. Let's not say, do you want 2 pieces or 4? Let's actually say what we're doing. We're cutting it in half, we're cutting it into quarters. Yeah. And why not say, what happens if I cut it each piece again? What have I got now? Yeah. How far? You know, sometimes the children want to go that far, sometimes they don't. Who cares? It's around the breakfast table, no pressure. Just use the language. Okay. Same with negative numbers. I have no problem when it gets cold. I say to the children, what temperature do you think it is? Is it going to be -1? Okay, or is it really cold? Has it got to -2? Okay. So -2 is colder than -1. Yeah. So and it's just fun. It's just living maths. It's living maths. It's just fun. When the little one, when they're very little, I do this all the time, just spot numbers on the doors as we're driving along, stuck in a traffic queue or walking along, number hunt, odd numbers, even numbers, using the language just as parents are very comfortable picking up a book and reading a story. Yeah. It's just kind of incorporating it in that day-to-day parenting stuff. I think that's great. Okay. That's when they're very young. And then when they're getting older, I think perhaps as parents we could fill in some of the gaps that perhaps they're not getting at school maths now. I think school maths can be quite dull, quite procedural, and this is here's the end point, the GCSE, and this is what we're working towards, and it's head down and just go. Yeah. If that's the diet that your child is having, then I think perhaps we could supplement it at home. So what I'm doing now with my 12-year-old is I'm just giving him some really interesting, or what I think is interesting, he can pick and choose problems to solve. Okay, like what? I mean, some of them are perfectly abstract and some of them are more concrete. Again, it doesn't matter. It's just one off the top of my head. Imagine a chessboard. Yeah, 8x8 chessboard, right? This may not interest some, but it's sort of a pure maths type of problem. And how many squares on that chessboard? Okay, so the little squares, there's 8x8, there's 64, but then there's one big square as well, and then there's the 2x2 squares, and and then they overlap. So how do we find how many squares there are on a chessboard? You've lost me already, and I'm trying not to panic because I'm trying to be positive about maths. But it would be much easier to have a chessboard in front of it. That's just a puzzle. But surely any 12-year-old, and I don't want to link things back to kind of video games, but you know, surely actually that's sort of, it's quite visual. It's sort of like you say, it's about that problem solving.
way of living.
Yeah, well, I just chucked it. I mean, if he's not interested, he's not going to do it. If he's not interested, that's fine. But I actually thought, oh, no. And I did a smaller version with my 7-year-old. I said, well, if you've got a 4x4 mini chessboard, how many squares would there be? He's trying to work it out. Yeah. So there's loads. You can get puzzle books, problem-solving books. There's loads of stuff just to make them think. I'm not asking him to do sums or add. It's just... And also to attack it in any way. Nobody's told them how to go about doing that.
Right, okay.
And that's the important thing. Yeah. How do you solve this? How do you do it?
Yeah, okay.
How do you start? Where do you start? And I think that's what we're going to need in the future. We're going to need mathematical problem solvers. We don't need necessarily human calculators. We've got calculators, we've got computers, we've got any kind of machine that'll do long multiplication and long division. That's not really what we're going to need in the future. We need people to be able to think around problems. And that's what maths is. Maths is about solving problems. Okay. It's one of the oldest academic subjects of mankind, humankind. It's about solving any conceivable question that we can come up with, and we're constantly coming up with questions. Obviously, we want to get, to Mars. Yeah. These are questions that are going to involve maths. Yeah. Okay. And in fact, I mean, there's thinking that. I mean, you can pull these figures out of the hat, but there's thinking that 20 million more jobs are going to be created for mathematical problem solvers. We're moving into a more mathematical, technological age.
Yes. Okay.
But it's about solving problems, not about crunching numbers.
Okay. So tell me about the core maths program. Right, I know this is something that you're heavily involved with, and basically, currently there's a huge swathe of children that are getting to GCSE maths. They sit the exam, they get out, they come out with their grade, and they kind of go, yay, that's it. I never have to touch anything to do with maths ever again. So why, says the parent, is the government talking about and now actually practically introducing a new core maths programme that will see children post-16 continuing the maths journey?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So just to put it in context then, so core maths is for post-16. Yeah. It's aimed at pupils that have passed their GCSE, so they've got A star, A, B or C, and have not chosen to go on and do AS or A-level maths. Okay. So by 2020, the government's envisaging that the vast majority of pupils will be studying maths post-16 by doing reset GCSE, or AS or A-level maths, or now this new core maths programme. That's where it sort of fits in with the other options.
Okay, and is it being used now? It started?
It started as a pilot. They're called the Early Teaching Projects, ETPs. It started as a pilot in September 2014. Yeah. So it is up and running now. Yeah. But it was very much for schools that had applied to do this as an early teaching project. Yeah. And they get a lot of support and a lot of funding to do this year. Okay. And it's currently running nationally with about 3,500 students. Okay. By 2020, the government's hoping there'll be 250,000 students doing this.
And is it actually a qualification?
It's a qualification. Yep. It's going to be called core maths. Yep. Or actually, each example, there's 5 examples offering it, they can't actually call it core maths. They have to call it like maths in context or maths for work and life. Okay. Because core maths could get confused with a part of the A-level that's called core maths. Okay. But it's widely known as core maths. Okay. And it will be a qualification that's equivalent in time and UCAS points as an AS level. Okay. So it's run across 2 years, and you'll get the same UCAS points as an AS.
Right, and you mentioned to me that Ofsted are going to be looking at whether schools are offering this programme, is that right?
Well, yeah, it is not compulsory. There's some confusion out there about whether it's going to become compulsory. Because the government are very keen for large numbers of people to do it, this kind of got mixed messages, and some parents are saying it's going to be compulsory. It's not compulsory. That would require a change in the constitution of the law. So that's not, it's not going to be compulsory. But schools will be hugely encouraged to get their pupils to do this, to the point that it will become part of the performance indicators in the Ofsted report. Yeah, they will be reported on those lines. Okay. So then your question was why? Why are pupils going to want to do this? Why do parents want their kids to do it when perhaps they've not had the best experience at Key Stage 3?
No, we've probably pulled teeth for the last 7 years, so why do we want to...
And that's exactly what one parent said to me. They said to me, you've got to be kidding. Yeah. You've got to be kidding. I have got my daughter through this, no thanks to the school, his words, and and she's got an A, fantastic. She never wants to do it again. I don't want her to do it again. It was the most horrendous experience. Okay. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Why aren't we investing the time, energy and effort into Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4? Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. I think he's got a point. I think he's got a very valid point. I think we should be looking very hard at what we're doing at Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. Because I think we're sort of set in this direction. We're on some kind of tanker that's going this way with all the pressure, the exam factory type stuff, the superficial learning, the lack of joy. It's all going in that direction. We know over here, we know everything that we should be doing. We know about problem solving, we know about the neuroscience, we know about how children learn best, we know about what makes a good teacher, we know about teacher expertise being the key element of any school, and yet we're set on this tanker that's going this way. Right. So I think it's got a very good point. Why aren't we changing Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4? The fact is the government is prepared to invest in post-16. That is where the money is going.
Okay.
So I think we've got to grab it, seize the opportunity, and hope that the whole sort of ethos will filter down to Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4.
Okay.
Why does the government want us to have more children doing maths post-16? It's the international stage. Right. We're looking around us and we're seeing what's going on internationally. The sort of Pisa tables, the Pisa tests, the TIMS, it's all now
these are the international league
studies,
tables.
The international league tables that compare countries, which we're rapidly dropping. Now, there's reasons for that. The one reason why we're rapidly dropping is because more people are coming in. Okay. And more people are putting more emphasis on them. So actually, there's different arguments. Some saying we're staying absolutely static. Yeah. And our performance is the same when we were 8th as now it is when we're 24th. It's static. And other countries have come in and are doing better, but we're just staying the same. So other researchers said, actually, we are dropping. Okay. Either way, we're not going forward. No. At the very best, we're staying still. Okay. So the government's now having to take that on board. Some years ago, we didn't have these international studies, and every country would sit at home saying, we've got the best educational system in the world. Aren't we doing well? Yeah. But now they're forced to compare. So, and the comparisons are countries like Japan have 80% of their post-16 pupils doing maths. 80%? 80% at a higher level, not at a higher level.
And what's our average percentage? What percentage of children are going on to maths post-16?
Post-16 at a higher level, not GCSE? Yeah. 13.
Okay. Okay.
So they're 80%. You could say, well, it's actually compulsory in Japan. Okay, so what about countries where it's not compulsory, where it's just a free will, like England? What percentage is going on to do it? New Zealand, Singapore, about 40%. Okay. Scotland, 23%.
Okay. What are they doing? What are we doing
They have
in
a broader
Scotland?
Curriculum. They have an expectation of a broader curriculum. We narrow quickly, and we've given all the negative messages from age 5 to age 16. Okay. So the government's now looking around and saying, okay, well, we need to be able to compete on an international stage. Yeah. Yeah. Maths is one of those subjects, like science, that's going to open a lot of doors. Yeah. We need to be able to compete fairly, and we can't do that. We've only got 13% of a cohort studying. Okay. Also, then you can imagine what that then does to undergraduate figures as well. If you've only got 13% at A level, you're narrowing and narrowing. So we need to widen it. And so core maths was sort of considered some time ago now, the idea of core maths, where it's sort of mostly aimed at kids with a BC at GCSE. Yeah. I mean, obviously kids with A and A star can do it. And I think one of the spin-offs, and this is just a very personal point of view, but I think one of the spin-offs that may happen is that pupils now presented with an option, right? You're going to do maths post-16, right? So it's either going to be A-level, or we'll start with AS and then A-level, or core maths. What are you going to do? Now, what we've had up to now is a huge gender imbalance for taking on A-level. It's about somewhere between 60% and 70% male doing A-level, 30-40% doing female doing A-level. Now, I think one of the spin-offs of saying to pupils, you're going to have to do maths, is I think it might up the number of girls opting to do A-level maths. If they've got an A star or an A, they might think, oh, well, I'll give it a go. And I think that would be great. I mean, it's a kind of a subsidiary spin-off, but I think that would be a great thing to do. Others don't necessarily agree with me, but I think we'll see that happening. Just like when science became compulsory at GCSE. Before science was compulsory, very few girls did science, became compulsory. Girls obviously had to do it, and now they outperform boys. I mean, and nobody would now think there's any difference between girls and boys doing science at GCSE. It's just obvious that they're saying there's a relatively recent change.
Okay. So we're on a journey. We're on a journey, and positivity is the sort of
that's the thing about core maths, because we've got an opportunity now that core maths can be taught very differently from Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4, and that is the ethos, and that's what we've got to protect. And this pilot year that we're involved with is about what are we doing, how are we teaching it, what are the messages, and how do we protect that kind of ethos. And it's very much about collaborative style working, problem solving, sort of creativity, context, international sort of flavour, what's going on around the world. And heavily based with statistics and finance, because the idea is it's not just supposed to be a subject that kids continue for 2 years. It's a bridge. It's a bridge for them during their GCSEs and going on to university. So if they're going to go study psychology or economics or geography, they need some maths, and this is the maths that hopefully will get them from GCSE level to their undergraduate studies. And also for those pupils, even those that had A star and A were very high achievers at GCSE, they then stopped at 16, completely stopped, and then went to university and suddenly found they needed quite a lot of maths in their everyday sort of studies of their subject. So it's to keep the knowledge levels up. I mean, because it's not a particularly high level. It is level 3, which is the sort of the key for saying it's a higher level qualification. GCSEs are level 2, AS level 3. So it is a level 3 qualification. But the content isn't necessarily that advanced, as in it can take up to 80% of the GCSE content, with 20% from, say, an A-level maths content or whatever. But 80% of the new GCSE that's coming online now, so it's the more rigorous GCSE.
I see. So in a way, there might actually be a sea change with this programme, in terms of it could even be a carrot that we're giving to our kids and saying, OK, maybe we still have the mindset of just get through your GCSE, but if you do, then you get to do core maths, and that's really cool. Maybe, and will that then trickle down and maybe change the style of GCSE, and that we will...
I hope. I mean, most of the time I'm an eternal optimist, and I really hope that by looking at what we can achieve with core maths and the involvement that the kids have and the enjoyment that the kids have, it can actually sort of, we can step back and go, actually, we're just getting it wrong at Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. So I hope that the danger is when it becomes, because of course this is so new, and it's malleable, and we can do what we like, we're doing problem solving, we're doing creativity, the kids are doing presentations, it's group work, it's taking the fear away, it's safe, it's enjoyable, they've got ownership of it, we've got all of that right now, and it's all happening out there. Really good stuff is happening at the minute. But the danger is when we start thinking, when the exam boards were just putting their specifications together and their sample exam papers, at what point do teachers start teaching to the test again? And when we open the doors in September 2015 and anyone can take this on board, if we haven't somehow put something in place to say, this is what core maths is about.
And this is how we teach it.
This is how we teach it, and these are the key values that we must maintain. If we haven't somehow managed to find a way to lock that down, then I worry that, kids will go into sixth form, they'll start core maths, what's the exam paper, teach the test, and we're back to square one, the pressure,
Okay, understood.
So it's really tricky. It's tricky because I think we have an opportunity, here to change how maths is taught, at least at post-16, which, as you say, may be able to trickle down to Key Stage 3. That is my hope, and that when I go out and I'm teaching teachers to teach maths, that's the kind of message. We've got to get more kids on board with maths.
It's exciting. I'm excited about maths, and I left maths behind a long time ago. So I think, thank you for coming in today. Thank you for talking to us about maths.
You're welcome.
Thank you for kind of making it come alive. I think you do it brilliantly, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.